Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to talk about Ice Golem's Peak. More specifically, one of my best teams that is actually no legendary champions involved, all epic team. And I want to go ahead and show you the team. It's 72-second run in about 15-20 tries that I tried this morning with this composition. Obviously you're not going to have all of these champions, or maybe a lot of you are unlikely to have all of these champions. So what I want to do in today's video is talk about key roles that these champions are serving in this team. Obviously you might not be able to get it done in 72 seconds, but if you can fill these roles, I think you can have success in Ice Golem's Peak. So let's go ahead and take a look at the team. We'll do a quick run, and then we'll talk about all these champions and the roles that they kind of play in this dungeon. And we're also going to talk about kind of the two biggest areas of challenge and difficulty in Ice Golem's Peak and how to get around them, okay? So stage 20, you can see 1 minute and 12 seconds. That was done by this team this morning here. And yeah, this is the team. Royal Guard in the lead. I have Seer and I have Dark Elaine. Those are my damage dealers on the team, and then I have Stag Knight for a decreased defense, and I have Miscreated Monster to keep everybody alive. The most important champion in this team by far is Miscreated Monster. Without him, I wouldn't have the shield, and I would not be able to use Royal Guard because he does so much damage that he is a liability when it comes to the Ice Golem, because the Ice Golem, if you're doing so much damage that you're basically lapping him and he's ignoring 100% of your defense with his ability that we'll talk about in a minute, you could be in some real trouble. Not only that, but getting by the Terror Beast in the second wave is going to be a challenge as well, because of the Reflect. It's going to be doing all that damage back onto Royal Guard. So talking about the two areas of challenge in Ice Golem's Peak, it's a pretty straightforward dungeon. We're going to go ahead and see this team work right now, and the biggest takeaway here is, well, let's talk about Terror Beast first, because Terror Beast is very challenging. It'll get through the first wave in around 8 or 9 seconds with this team comp. Miscreated Monster is going to go with his stun, I think, on his next turn, and that's pivotal, right? So maybe not the next turn, maybe the turn after that, hopefully. We'll see if they start getting the Reflect down, the Terror Beast, then we're in a little bit of trouble with this team. So you have to build your team with, there's the stuns, with the stuns, or the turn meter decreaser on your team, or something, even a provoke. And if you don't have a good stun champion, you don't have a good provoke champion, heck, just run that gear on a multi-hitter AoE attacker on your team. You need to come up with a strategy to get by those Terror Beasts and keep your big damage dealers alive. And really the name of the game there is crowd control, is CC, is turn meter manipulation, turn meter decreaser on your team. Don't allow them to get a turn, you're looking good. And then the second area that people struggle in here is right now. So if we get this Ice Golem below a certain HP threshold here, you can see below 80, 60, 45, 30, and 15, he will revive any ally. For each ally still alive, he will ignore 50% defense. So if he has both of his champions up, he's going to be ignoring 100% of your champion's defense, and you'll be absolutely toast. That's why it's very important to have a shield champion on your team if you have one. Miscreated Monster is the best option. If you don't have him, you can go with Zelotas. Zelotas also another option. You'll notice that Dark Elaine there procced a bunch of different Death's Majesty, I believe is the ability. Every time an ally is frozen, Dark Elaine is going to do her thing there. 1 minute and 35 seconds. Again, just a little bit of RNG base. One thing I will say about this team is they have a 100% success rate. Again, I've done about 20 runs, never came even close to dying because of Miscreated Monster shield. That helps me withstand those blows from the Ice Golem, and of course in the second round, having first of all, the sheer damage that I do on this team, having 2 max HP champions, which a lot of people will not advise you to do. You just need to have a game plan. You can use Royal Guard, you can use Dark Elaine. Royal Guard, by the way, with 1.3 million damage, Dark Elaine with 1.2 million, and Seer with 1.1 million total damage output there. You can run champions like Seer in Royal Guard. You just have to have a plan for especially the Terror Beast on the second wave. So let's go ahead and look into the champions real quick here, guys, and then we'll do it again. So in talking about, I want to show you the gear that I have, but more specifically the role that they're all filling. So Seer is going to be just my main nuker, right? So if you don't have a Seer, you can run any nuking champion, preferably a nuker with some CC to help on that second wave. Seer does not have any crowd control in her kit, but I have her built in Savage gear. That's the first thing that you want to know of in my Seer here. I'm not going to go over like a full champion review on any of these champions. I've done videos or guides on all of these champions on this team, so feel free to go ahead and check those out. I'll link them all in the description of this video as well. But Savage is really good on Seer. I have her in a Savage set, ignoring enemy defense, and then I have a bunch of crit damage, including Flawless Execution on her. You could also experiment with Helm Smasher. I personally go with just sheer Flawless Execution, a sheer crit damage on her kit. So that is my Seer. Her total crit damage is 267. Her crit rate is a bit low at 83%, so there is a little bit of RNG. It's okay though, because if she doesn't land a crit on my team, it doesn't ruin the run, you know? So if she misses on one of these champions, it's okay. The next champion gets them on the next turn, and even with the cooldowns kind of being changed into the next wave, it still evens out in the end. It might add a few seconds to my run, but that's about it. It's not like it's going to ruin the run. So attack is pretty low at 32, 39. Attack does not really matter that much for Seer. Let's go ahead and move on to the next champion that I have here. So Seer is a damage dealer. A Zargala can fill that role as well. Granted, negative affinity matchup in level 20, but you know, on different stages in Ice Golem. Or of course you can run, again, I'm not going to go through every nuking champion in the game. There's plenty of them to choose from. So next on the team is Dark Elaine. Dark Elaine I love on this team because you can see she put out 1.2 million damage. I think she outdamaged Seer there because you saw how many times she went in with the Death's Majesty. So I will point out one thing about Dark Elaine, the way I have her built. I actually have attack-based attack percentage boots on her. The only reason for that is everybody else has speed. Everybody else on the champion on this team has speed boots. Dark Elaine has attack boots because I'm not relying on her speed or her turns. I'm really relying on her just proccing a million of these, as you saw in that match, in that last replay, a million of these Death's Majesties. Her speed is very, very slow, and that's okay because she's, again, like you just saw on that attack, right? She's going a lot because she's automatically triggering all these Death's Majesties. So her speed, for me, I'm okay to sacrifice that and get her attack really high at 4,500 with high crit damage at 281, 87%. You'll see that these crit rates, I'm falling a bit short, and you'll see that on a lot of my champions because, you know, if it's borderline, whether I can get away with not putting crit rate gauntlets on them, I'm going to roll the dice and go with an 87% crit rate rather than having to get it like whatever, 115 or 100, whatever it is. I'd rather just sacrifice that, you know, go with 85, 90% crit rate. Not a perfect world scenario. I'm just saying you have to do what you can do, right? So in terms of gear sets, I have crit damage and crit rate on her. In terms of masteries, again, I went with Flawless Execution and Retribution on my Dark Elaine. I'm really not relying on the decreased speed, although I could switch it up and add some accuracy to her kit as well. She's currently really low at 132. So next up I have Frank. Miscreated Monster is amazing. He is like the hugest carry in this dungeon. I think that he shines in every dungeon, especially Spiders and especially Ice Golem's Peak. You can see I actually have him high with 112% crit rate, just because I did actually need crit rate gauntlets on him. So you do want to have your Miscreated Monster built out with 100% crit rate and some crit damage in his kit, because his shield is based on the damage that he puts out. So the main priorities for Miscreated Monster were a ton of HP, because his damage does scale off of HP. You can see here a lot of accuracy. Just make sure it's over 200, ideally for stage 20 dungeons. That way he has a good shot of landing those stuns, even though it is a 50% chance. And of course, just that's it. That's it for Miscreated Monster. A lot of HP. So his total stats for me are almost 80k HP with a 196 speed and a 244 debuff accuracy. That's because I made the decision to sacrifice the accuracy banner and go with an HP banner, which I would advise you guys do as well if you can get his accuracy high naturally through your Great Hall or the rest of your gear. You don't have to have like a 500, 400, 300 plus accuracy for Miscreated Monster in level 20 dungeons. He can get the job done just fine at 244 where I have him. So I have crit damage gauntlet, crit damage amulet on him as well. So in this role, again, we talked about Zelata. Basically any good shield champion that you have, if you're lucky enough to have any of like the S tier, like Sir Nicholas or something like that, go ahead and use them in this role as well. Basically, you want a strong shield champion or a really, really like robust healing support champion in this role. You need to keep your team alive throughout those AoEs, especially in the Ice Golem's peak. So that's why Miscreated Monster is incredibly important, probably the most important champion on my entire team. So next up is going to be Royal Guard. So Royal Guard is just one of those weird champions that I just had a bunch of like really good, as you can see, a few legendary or a couple legendary pieces here of Daze gear. So I built him out in a Daze set. It's not really helping me out. Daze set's one of the weaker sets in the game, but the gear was really solid. So I decided, let's go ahead and use it. So again, like really good gear here. Crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage too on this Daze helmet. Same thing on this crit damage. I mean, these are really good gauntlets. So, you know, I would advise you guys do the same. Just because it's on a really bad set, a piece of gear, don't be afraid to use it, even on a champion that you use a lot, like Royal Guard for me. So I have him built out, again, kind of the same on all these damage dealers. I have speed boots on every single one of my champions except for Dark Elaine because, again, of the automatic Death's Majesty trigger. I didn't really talk about that. Let me just review it real quickly in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about here. Her passive will automatically trigger her A2, Death's Majesty. Whenever an ally is frozen, boom, she will automatically use this ability. That's why, again, I can afford to build her out in Ice Golem specifically without a lot of speed on her. Everybody else has speed boots on. So back to Royal Guard, again, it's all about getting the damage on the takedown, and that scales off of enemy max HP. So again, attack is high on him, pretty high at 4,200. Doesn't even need to be that high. We just want crit damage, a lot of crit damage on our Royal Guard. Royal Guard is better than Coldheart in this dungeon because Royal Guard is going to be doing damage to the minions as well as the Ice Golem, whereas Coldheart on her Heartseeker ability will only be targeting the minions until they're dead or until the Ice Golem has low enough HP to where she thinks she has a shot at possibly killing him. So I prefer Royal Guard in this dungeon, but you could sub in Coldheart if you want another higher enemy max HP champion. And then last but not least, it is Stag Knight. Stag Knight, it's all about speed for me, speed and a little bit of sustainability with accuracy. That's all I care about on Stag Knight. He's an easy champion to build because you don't need God tier gear. You can see he has the lowest power by far of my team. I have him a double speed in an Immortal set. I really love Immortal sets. It's one of the best sets in the game, in my opinion. But anyway, his speed's at 224. I want him going first. That way we can make really quick work of that first wave, getting that decreased defense and decreased attack. Not that it matters, but decreased defense down on that first wave. I don't really care too much about his crit rate and his crit damage, although in a perfect world scenario, sure, I would have him doing a little bit of damage too. Why not, right? And then his defense is pretty robust at 2,700. His HP at 60k is really fine. He's always, if my team does start to die, and like I said, I think on 2 of my 20 runs, it ended out just being Stag Knight and Miscreated Monster at the end, so he's not going anywhere regardless. And then that's the team. So again, in terms of gear on him, I have obviously an accuracy banner on him, speed boots, and I probably have a defense chest on him. And you can see that is the case. So that is the team, guys. In order for, in terms of substitutions for Stag Knight, if you have Tyrell, you can go ahead and run him. You just need a strong defense down champion on an AoE to help you out on those waves. Now, War Maiden does not really jive well because of the affinity matchups in stage 20 of Ice Golem. But heck, if you guys are not on stage 20, if you're on stage 20, then maybe you do have Stag Knight or Tyrell. If you're not on stage 20, sure, run War Maiden. She does the job very well in earlier stages of Ice Golem as well, as far as AoE decrease defense. So let's go ahead and watch the team one more time here, guys. Hopefully I've done a pretty good job outlining kind of the specific roles that these champions play in this dungeon. This is a speed team, make no doubt about it. So, you know, yeah, if I had to critique the team, if I had to make it even faster, even adding in legendary champions, I could add in probably a better damage dealer who's a little bit stronger than Dark Elaine. And but other than that, I think this team is really solid, honestly. I mean, 72 seconds without legendaries, I'm sure it's been done probably way better than this, but to my knowledge, like, this is a really fast time, and it's my best time too on this team. So there goes Dark Elaine. She hits pretty hard, man. That was her Death's Majesty ability, and she finished off that second wave, or the first wave rather. And here we are on the second wave. Let's see if we can get through this a little bit faster than we did on the first run there. So they hit pretty hard, but luckily again, Frank will be going up with his shield on the next attack. So the shield is up. So this is beautiful. Even if they were to get the reflect up, which they won't, you can see the turn meter of all the Terror Beasts was very low. Once we have that shield up, we are totally good. So now we have Ally Protect. We get there in about 35 seconds to the Ice Golem, and again, triggering this death, or that was not a trigger, that was just an automatic Death's Majesty on the auto attack there. And now you can see that sometimes on this next hit, I believe, let's try to get that defense down. See, unfortunately, didn't land the defense down before the Karma Burn landed, but Stag Knight's next ability will be landing that decreased defense on the Ice Golem. Then we'll start hitting really, really hard. I stand corrected. There it is. Royal Guard landed the defense down. Royal Guard comes in handy as a secondary defense down champion. You can't rely on him, certainly, to be your main defense down, but here we go again, another Death's Majesty. Things are kind of slowing up this run. It took a while for Royal Guard to actually get into his takedown ability, which is imperative to make this run super fast, right? Karma Burn, Death's Majesty, and the takedown ability. So there's Karma Burn hitting for 287k from Seer. And there it goes. So I'm actually kind of glad this happened here, to be honest, guys, because this is what I was talking about. On those 2 runs, now 3 runs, that things kind of fell apart towards the end. It was Miscreated Monster just kind of soloing things down at the end, and that was the case here too. So guys, we'll go ahead and end the video here. Hopefully I've given you some things to kind of think about regarding your own teams in Ice Golem's Peak. Ice Golem's Peak has some pretty good gear. A lot of people spend a lot of time farming crit rate gear here. Also taunting gear, resistance for high-end arena, defense for clan boss, life and offense, especially in the mid-game, before you have access to Cruel and kind of Immortal gear, which are kind of the upgraded versions. But still, you can have solid pieces of life and offense gear as well. So a lot of good gear here in Ice Golem's Peak. Hopefully, again, that you guys have some strategy here. Turn meter manipulation and CC on the second wave, and then having that sustainability, that shield, or some sort of a big heal, to, if you're going to go with sheer damage, to put up against the Ice Golem on the end of the battle. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.